I like Bill Maher. I've liked him my entire adult life. Bill Maher's also been really off the mark lately. I was gonna mention this earlier, but then
I'm a house nigga.
happened, so I let that blow over. Now that that's gone, let's talk about the bigger issue. A few weeks back, Bill had Elizabeth Warren on his show. This is how it started.
You love California, don't you? I mean, it's the last liberal bastion.
No,
right?
come on. People all across this country are energized right now, and I want to tell you something.
Yeah. They may be all energized across the country, but all across the country, they don't have a Democratic governor, Democratic senator, Democratic parliament. We are where liberalism is at the forefront. You got to admit that.
Democrats and liberals aren't the same thing. That's actually a big part of the problem. Not every dog is a poodle, Bill, you've got to admit that. So, after falsely equating being liberal, which is a philosophy, with being a Democrat, which is a club membership, Bill goes on to ask this.
But he's going to go to a rally in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania tomorrow and tell his fans all about this, about how his kids are not going to have to pay taxes because they got rid of the estate tax. Yeah. And they're still with him. They're not with you. Explain to me what that disconnection is.
So we're clear, the question is, why don't Trump voters vote for Democrats? That is the wrong question, and it's incredibly infuriating.
When you talk about what's really the basic pieces of a progressive agenda, raise the minimum wage, expand Social Security, reduce the cost of college so people don't get crushed by student loan debt, more, not less regulation.
But they voted for him.
Yeah, because most people do support progressive ideas. But the DNC made sure that the progressive candidate couldn't run. Trump is a scumbag idiot, but he wasn't caught cheating during his primary.
Americans, by about 2 to 1, are with us on that. The progressive agenda is America's agenda. We cannot forget that.
Yeah, but this is the disconnect I'm talking about. I agree with you. They're with you on the issues, and then they vote for him.
Well, then
what is that problem?
The problem is that Democrats don't act on anything progressive. Hillary's message during the primary was think smaller. Her message during the general was I'm not Trump. She didn't campaign on single payer, the fight for 15, or even less war. You can tell me in a heartbeat what Donald Trump ran on. Walls are good, Muslims are bad, better health care that's cheaper for everyone, no more foreign intervention, law and order, punch the protesters. You know exactly what he stood for, and you know that Hillary didn't like him. Bill then puts the blame for people not voting Democrat on the people who don't vote Democrat. That's, insightful.
His voters are not young. They lived through it. How come they fall for the con?
Because nobody wanted her in the first place? She lost the first time to an unknown black rookie. How on earth is that not a sign that nobody wants her? You present this as if Hillary's not a unique person, as if you don't know what her flaws are. She chose to run for president while under FBI investigation. This was not fucking normal. Anyway, a week later, Bill stopped asking the wrong question and started insulting the wrong people.
But in the case of Donald Trump, I will say this about 100 days. It does give us enough evidence to ask those liberals who couldn't bring themselves to vote for Hillary because she was the lesser of two evils, quite a bit lesser, wouldn't you say now?
That still depends on what areas you found her to be less evil, doesn't it? And I love the weirdness of this question. You said Trump was worse than her, and I agree with you. Don't you feel like a dickhead?
It's about winning the next election. And that begins with learning the difference between an imperfect friend and a deadly enemy.
Yes! Let's bring up imperfect friends. First of all, Hillary sold fracking to the world, which is destroying the planet, and wanted to start World War III with a no-fly zone over Syria. I'm gonna sit in my smug little chair and say that's pretty fucking deadly. Secondly, Bill, you're sounding quite a lot like you haven't learned the lesson of this election. That being, don't run a nationally despised person with 30 years of scandal baggage and the FBI snooping through their shit!
Jill Stein said of her electoral rivals, Hillary and Trump, "To me, one is death by gunshot wound, and the other is death by strangulation." Well, I'm sure with Trump in charge and a racist attorney general, there'll be a lot more of both.
Does that mean the Green Party likes police brutality? Or are you blaming Obama for all the murders by police the last 8 years? I don't get it.
But honestly, under Hillary, would we have Attorney General Foghorn Leghorn?
No, she wanted to keep Loretta Lynch, because that wouldn't be something for Republicans to chew on the whole time. Oh, and if we were really lucky, we'd get a guy who falls for phishing scams.
Would she have a cabinet made up almost entirely of rich, straight, white men? You know, Hillary, she knows quite a few black people.
Yeah, and according to her ghost cabinet shortlist, one of them might be running the EPA. I mean, names and qualifications I couldn't tell you, but definitely maybe a black person.
Before the election, Edward Snowden tweeted, "2016, a choice between Donald Trump and Goldman Sachs." Yeah, so what happened? The anti-Wall Street crowd that was too pure to vote for Hillary ended up putting Goldman Sachs people as Trump's top political strategist, the head of his economic council, and our Treasury Secretary. The trifecta.
Really, Bill? Blaming the voters for an elected official's actions? What about blaming Hillary for promoting Trump in the first place?
Whose side are you on?
I'm on your side. Just quit being a fucking dumbass.
If Hillary was president now, would we be turning the clock back on the one issue for which there is no more time, climate change?
Sold fracking to the world! And lest we forget, his interview at the beginning of this episode was a giant blowjob to John Kasich.
I think our audience agrees with me. You're one of the good ones.
Of course we have to be sensitive to it, but we don't want to destroy people's jobs based on some theory that's not proven.
And if the ever-vigilant environmentalist Bill Maher wasn't strangely okay with that self-contradiction, let's get back to this new rule segment.
Do you really think if just as evil Hillary had been elected, conservatives would now be in control of the Supreme Court, as they will for decades?
Wait, who?
Just as evil Hillary.
Just as evil?
Lesser of two evils.
Oh, changing your own argument, huh?
This guy is even dumber than we thought.
He's not that bad.
My dear friend Cornel West said during the campaign, "I think Trump will be a neo-fascist catastrophe and Clinton will be a neoliberal disaster." I don't even know what a neoliberal disaster even means. But whatever it is, isn't it better than a fascist one? Have you people lost your fucking minds?
If you don't know what it means, why are you acting so upset about it? Have you lost your fucking mind? Oh look, he's on your show now. You can ask him what he meant.
As someone who said they were equally awful,
No, I didn't say equally
Yes,
awful.
you
I said
did.
one was a disaster, another was a catastrophe.
Exactly my point.
But
How
a
is that
disaster is better than a catastrophe.
Well, that point was lost on a lot of people. Oh, stop it.
Or don't. And why don't you ask him directly? Why don't you seek the reasoning for intelligent people to not support Hillary Clinton?
Why are we still arguing the last election? We got stuff going forward.
Because they haven't learned a lesson that we need to win the next election.
And that lesson is, corruption is good, but only smart corruption. I mean, Donald Trump is corrupt, but he's too stupid to get anything done. That's why the grown-up, responsible thing to do is to fight for Mike Pence to usurp him.
I could not agree more. Michael Pence is well within the parameters of awful that we have come to see as the norm. It's true.
Yes, it's true. Hillary got caught cheating, everyone can see the evidence if they want to, and it's okay because her type of corruption is normal. Donald Trump never got caught cheating anyone in the election process, but he's a lot more incompetent than our regular product, so Russia, evidence is for suckers. Which brings us back to the original wrong question.
They're with you on the issues,
Yep.
and then they vote for him.
See, it's not that people agree with Democrats and then vote Republican. It's that people want to vote progressive, the Democrats fucked them, and then said to the majority of the voting public, hey, vote for us, not for what you want. And then people simply didn't vote. Now, the Republicans, they offer suffering and fear. That's true. But the Democrats, they offer fucking nothing. So, rally some troops, Bill. Support Bernie and his very popular ideas. Make sure that there's something to vote for next time. 'Cause all this noise about Hillary and her no voters, you know what you sound like?
A whiny little bitch. That's it.